earlier planned because for some reason the laptop is just not letting us do what we wanted to do. But this is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, and even though it's been a long time since we did this last, today we're going to talk very much about scholarships. We're going to dig into the scholarship opportunities that you have. We're also going to look at how you can win those scholarships. We're going to be discussing all the strategies that will help you to win these scholarships. And so if you are here and you know a friend who knows another friend and knows another friend that needs to know about scholarships and understand how scholarships work, then this is the right time to invite those people to join this particular event. All right, so the other thing we're supposed to do today is to announce the outcome of the events, the write-ups that we had recently. We're going to announce as much of it as possible today. And then the final outcomes of the remaining parts will be out in the remaining part of the week, hopefully by tomorrow. But for now, this is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. I want to welcome you specially to this particular scholarship discussion. Now, every time when I talk about scholarships, I love to start by asking the question, why do you want to pay if there is an organization that is willing to sponsor your studies? All right. So a lot of people have this wrong idea of thinking that, well, I've made the money or I can make the money. And then when I make the money, I go out there and pay my fees myself and sort myself out. But the question is, why not keep that money if there is somebody, some organization, some institution that is willing to pay for you? And there are quite a number of them, so many organizations that really want to fund your studies. And in fact, in some cases, they don't just want to fund your studies, they need to fund your studies. All right? Because, when you understand how charities work, that's charity organizations, when you understand how they work, you will realize that sometimes they need to fund your studies. They need to do that because it gives them some kind of good standing with the government. It's part of their social responsibility to the community where they operate. It's part of the things part of their bragging rights. One of the things that they hold on to and say, yes, we've done this, we've done that, we've done that. Now, on the side of the professors also need you. So it's a case of not just that you need the scholarship, but even the people who award the scholarships need you to take up the scholarships. And once you understand this, you begin to have a shift of mindset and you begin to have a new standard of thinking when it comes to scholarship opportunities. The other thing is, one thing is they need you, but the other thing is, in addition to needing you, they have timelines and they have targets that they need to deliver on. And they cannot deliver those targets all by themselves. They can only deliver those targets with the support of people like you, like me, like the rest of us who are applying for scholarships. All right. And that is why you come to the scholarship application with all boldness, knowing that regardless of what happens, you are needed by these professors. You are needed by these institutions. You are needed by these corporate organizations. They want to offer you scholarships because it's part of what they do and it's part of how they are able to achieve the things that they are supposed to achieve, their own targets, their own milestones, and all the other things that they are supposed to do. Now, the other thing is this. I've been talking about scholarships for a couple of years now. And one of the challenges many people have is the mindset and the thinking that there are no scholarships for their own field. You see, there are people who will tell you that because I studied maybe mass communication, or I studied the other course, or I studied political science, or I studied economics, or this or that there are no scholarships for my field. All right. But what you need to understand is that there is a scholarship for every field. Yes, there are fields that have more scholarships than others. If you finished from any of the STEM courses like engineering, like maths, like chemistry, physics, all of those kind of courses, there seem to be more scholarships for those fields. But that does not in any way mean that there are no scholarships for those who want to study, or those who study like history. I know somebody who studied fine and applied arts, and I think his master's was on scholarship. His PhD is also funded, through a particular scholarship. All right. So it's not a case of there are no scholarships within my field. The question you need to start asking is, how do I find the scholarships within my field? How do I qualify for the scholarships within my field? Because many people, even when they see the scholarships, they count themselves out. They feel like I am not qualified. And that's why everybody who talks about scholarships keep getting the question of, can I win? Can I win scholarship? Can I also win scholarship? I have a second class upper. Can I win scholarship? I have just graduated, or I'm in my final year. Can I win scholarship? The question you need to start asking from today as a young person, recent graduate, about to graduate, 7 core member, is, how do I win? There is a difference between the two. Can I win a scholarship is one mindset. How do I win a scholarship is another mindset altogether. And the second mindset comes with positivities. So when you say, how can I win? You are already challenging your mind to start thinking. Because the question how requires answers. It requires actionable answers. But when you ask yourself, can I win? The question of can I win makes you relaxed, because there is always going to be, on every path to greatness, to success, there are going to be challenges. And when you begin to ask yourself, can I win? Your mind is going to start revealing the challenges along the way to you. So you say, can I win a scholarship? Your mind will first suggest to you that, well, maybe your result was not the greatest of results. And then your mind will go like, well, you have a good result, but your result is only from Africa, or from Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Kenya, any of the other places. And then you are going to be competing against people who come from China, who come from United States of America, who come from Italy, who come from Germany, and all the other places. That's how your mind begins to work when you start asking, can I win? Can I win is a losing question. It's a question of people who kind of just give up very easily in the process. But when you say, how can I? Then your mind will begin to suggest ideas to you. So it will begin to tell you things like, if you want to win the scholarship, this is where you are. And you begin to do what is called a SWOT analysis. My result was not the greatest of results, right? But I have a good writing skill. I can sit down here and create a very wonderful essay, an amazing story that's going to convince anybody to give me a scholarship. And that could be how you win. Then your mind can also begin to suggest to you things like, well, if you cannot, if it doesn't work in the United States, the other way you can win is to apply to another country where many people are not applying. For instance, you could say, well, all the people are choking up the United States, all the people are choking up United Kingdom, all the people are choking up Canada, but maybe not as many people are going to Australia. Maybe not as many people are going to New Zealand. Maybe not as many people are looking at options in France. And maybe not so many people are looking at scholarship opportunities in Spain. And so your mind is beginning to work in a different format. It's beginning to, you've activated your mind and is working in an entirely different domain of possibilities. Unlike those who keep asking, can I win? Can I win? Can I win? They ask this scholarship content creator, can I win? They ask the other person, can I win? They ask the other person, can I win? In the end, one person is going to tell them they can win, but Even if 10 tells them, or 10 people tell them that they can win, and one person tells them that they cannot win, that's you cannot win stays with them, and that is what they begin to practice, and that's what they begin to put into action. So can you win scholarships? Settle that in your mind, and then just begin to ask yourself, how can I win these scholarships? All right. Now, for you to understand how you can win a scholarship, you need to first of all understand the scholarship options that you have. All right. You can just go in the comment section, tell me where you're joining us from. If you are from Nigeria, from Ghana, just write the name of your country in the comment section. I would like to, keep track and then follow up with who is online, who is joining us, and who we are discussing with today. Now, you need to know the scholarship options that you have, and feel free to share this video now that we are live. You can just click on the share button and then it goes out to all the other people within your own network so that we're able to carry as many people along as possible. But this is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. What we are discussing today is scholarships. Now, if you know the scholarship options that are available to you, that's when you can begin to plan properly. That's when you begin to plan properly, because the way you approach one scholarship is different from the way you approach the other scholarship. The way you approach PTDF scholarship is different from the way you will approach a scholarship by Chevening. The way you approach Chevening scholarship is also going to be different from the way you approach maybe the Cambridge, the Gates Cambridge scholarship is also going to be different from the way you approach graduate assistantships. So knowing the particular scholarships that are available to you now helps you to begin to plan properly and begin to strategize properly to know how you can win all these scholarships. I really wanted to share my slides today because I have like a slide pack that is prepared and detailed for scholarships, but somehow my computer is just not cooperating. Facebook somehow sometimes locks me out of the computer and I have to start doing a whole lot to regain access. But we could discuss on sharing the slides, or maybe I refer you to my YouTube channel where there is another content around this that has all those slides shared there. Now, so all the scholarship options that you have, the first one is you have these scholarships that are usually going to be funded by the government of your country. So I look at all the scholarship opportunities that exist around the world, and then I put them into certain categories. One is government funded, the other ones are institutional, and then the other ones are funded directly from the universities. So those ones that are funded by the universities are usually going to come in the form of graduate assistantships. All right, graduate assistantship. I believe we are very familiar with that expression. If you don't know what graduate assistantship is, let me know in the comment section so that I know to what extent I'm going to explain it. That's the kind of scholarship that would come from the universities. Now, the second category of scholarships are those from your government. And there are like a number of layers to that. There are some that will come directly from your government, and your government is the sole sponsor. If you come from Nigeria, for instance, you will know that there was a time when Goodluck Jonathan decided to institute what was called the Presidential Excellence Scholarship Award or something like that. That's a scholarship coming fully from the Nigerian government. But there is another kind of scholarship where your government goes into a bilateral educational agreement with another government. That's another kind of scholarship. And you will see countries from, I know Angola has that relationship with countries like Russia. I know Nigeria has it. I know Mali has it. I know Mozambique has it. I know Kenya also has something like that, because when I was doing my bachelor's, I met quite a number of people from all these countries I've mentioned now. Cote d'Ivoire also has the same kind of arrangement with certain countries. Now, what that means is all of those kind of scholarships that are bilateral educational agreements, you will go there and the government of your country will go into a collaboration with another government. And under that particular arrangement, your country might be the one funding your stay, while that other country is taking care of your school fees. It's taking care of all your, every cost of your living and all that and all that and all that and all that. So that's one kind of category of scholarship. The third category of government-funded scholarship is where the government of another country offers a fully funded scholarship to people from across the world. Now, many people would say, well, my country is corrupt. There is no scholarship that is going to be merit-based in my own country. But you can now look for all the other countries that are funding people from your country to come to their country and study. There are quite a number of them. China is doing it. Japan is doing it. Sweden is doing it. Ireland is doing it. A whole lot of other countries are doing something similar. So what you just want to do is check that your country is eligible for that particular scholarship. Even the United States has it. And once you now identify that your country is allowed to apply, what do? You go ahead and apply. And when the scholarship is coming from another country, there is usually not going to be a bias because it's not influenced from your country. Your country does not control it. So even if your country is very corrupt, the application process is handled by people outside of your country. And because all these people handling these scholarship applications are outside of your country, they don't even know you. Sometimes they don't even know the tribe you are coming from. They don't even know the region you are coming from. All they know is that they are comparing your application against the applications of other applicants from other places. And once your application stands out, then you qualify to win the scholarship. That's it on the categories of scholarships now by the government. The other category of scholarship that you have, which we all must pay attention to, are the institutional scholarships. That's the Chevening Scholarship, the NDDC Scholarship, the PTDF Scholarship, the Gates Cambridge Scholarship, the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. All these names I'm calling now have multiple scholarships for different fields of studies and for different levels of studies. Some will be for master's degree. Some will cover masters and cover PhD. Some will even step backwards to cover undergraduate studies. So it is left for you now to understand all these scholarships, and then the strategizing comes. How do you win each of these scholarships? Remember, I mentioned that the right question is, how can I win? Stop asking yourself if you can. Start asking, how can you? Because once you fix your mind on how you can, then everything becomes possible for you. It gives you the push that you deserve. It gives you the push that you need, and it gives you the comfort and the strength that you need to keep moving forward, to keep stepping forward, to keep developing, advancing, making progress towards the scholarship. And that's the way I like to ask my questions. Now, the other thing you must do as a person is, it's not enough to know the scholarships. It's not enough to also know that these are the options you have. It's not even enough to know that this is what you need to do. The other thing that makes you win scholarships is starting to prepare early. All right? Because most of us on this call are people who have already graduated, or maybe people who are close to graduation. I may not go back into the details of why you need a very good CGPA, how you need to do this and do that while in school, how you need to make this effort or make the other effort. But the key thing is this. Most of the scholarships that I have mentioned today are in cycles. I call them cyclic scholarships. And the reason I call them cyclic is because they repeat themselves every year. The PTDF scholarship has been in existence, I think, since early 2000s under Obasanjo's government. That's when it was established. If you're a Nigerian, you will know how many years ago Obasanjo was president of Nigeria. There are probably people who are on this call that were not even born at the time when Obasanjo was president of Nigeria or when Obasanjo's government started. But PTDF has been in existence since that time. And every year, PTDF will call people, give them the opportunity to apply for scholarships. They apply for those scholarships and they win it. A number of people would win. There are some others that will have to try again the next time. But it is cyclic. Now, Chevening Scholarship has also been in existence for a very long time. And it keeps happening every year. The MasterCard Foundation Scholarship has also been in existence over the years, and they keep repeating themselves. And then, of course, the one that's called Bilateral Educational Agreement by the Federal Scholarship Board, it has also been in existence for years. I applied for it in 2010, and I was not the first category. I was not the first set that went to study under it. I think there were people who went to study under that scholarship since as far back as 1995, and maybe even much earlier. All right, but they keep happening. For you as a person, you may be doing your youth service now, but when you understand all these scholarship options that you have, what you need to do is to go back and start planning. Yes, you may have missed the deadline for the previous year, but you know that that scholarship is going to happen again. That particular scholarship is going to do what? Happen again. And because the scholarship is going to happen again, what you need to do is to go now and start preparing yourself, start getting your documents ready, start, making yourself ready for the particular scholarship that is going to open in the next year. Very often, the qualifications do not change much, like their requirements don't change much. It's always going to be more or less the same kind of requirements. It's always going to be the same kind of requirements. And because the requirements don't change, you have this rare opportunity and advantage to prepare yourself well to get those scholarship documents ready. But, I've had situations where I spend time to talk to people about PTDF scholarship and why they need to apply for PTDF scholarship and all that and all that. And in the end, you just find that the people are not, they are not getting themselves ready. They are not preparing. They are not making the right applications. They are not getting the right documents ready. But you need to have all these documents ready. You need to have all these documents handy. Once you have all the documents and you have all that are needed, then you will be able to win the scholarships when they come. If the scholarship requires you to write an essay, please, by all means, go ahead and write those essays in good time. Don't wait until the deadline and you begin to rush to apply. It's one of the reasons why people miss out on scholarships. Now, many people will tell you, oh, you did not make a first class, and because you don't have a first class, you cannot win a scholarship. That's not true. Don't even listen to them. One thing that you must understand is, after you have identified all these scholarships, what are the key requirements for each of them? You can feel free to bring a pen and be writing these things down. They are very important. Now, when you look at the graduate assistantship, and I love graduate assistantships for a reason, because all the schools in the developed world will have one graduate assistantship opportunity or the other. So, let's say I am a graduate of English and Literary Studies. For instance, I think this is one of the group of people that keep thinking that they don't have scholarships available to them. Let's say I finished my studies, English and Literary Studies, and I look for institutional scholarships and I don't find them. I look for government-funded scholarships and I don't find them. The place I should go and look for things is the graduate assistantship opportunities, because the government-funded scholarships and the institutional scholarships, they are usually driven by an ideology. They want to achieve a particular thing. Like the time I went to Russia for my bachelor's, somehow the government seemed to have preferred to have many people who wanted to study oil and gas engineering. And that's why some of us who applied for other aspects of engineering were kind of moved into oil and gas engineering by default. I was going to go and study electronic engineering. I had a friend who was in chemical engineering. I had another friend who was in civil engineering. But somehow, all of us ended up studying petroleum and engineering, because somehow the government at the time, I think, wanted many people as possible to study petroleum and gas engineering. Now, when you look at PTDF scholarship, for instance, which is an institutional scholarship, they are focused on helping people who are interested in studying energy-related courses. So courses that will be relevant to the energy industry, maybe to oil and gas, to renewable energy, anything somewhere around energy. don't fall into the category that the scholarship wants to fund. Of course, there are other institutional scholarships that will fund other courses, like the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship, for instance, will not even fund medical doctors. They will not fund, I think, core engineering at bachelor's degree level. They have their own preferences, but you need to identify the ones that fit into your course. But let's assume that all the institutional scholarships do not cover your course. What you need to do is get yourself acquainted with the process of securing yourself a graduate assistantship. And that's why I want to start with going into the details of what you need for a graduate assistantship. Number one, you need to learn how to write cold emails. There was just a few weeks ago, I think last week, I shared a video on this particular Facebook that discussed cold emails and why they are called cold emails, and how you need to warm them up, what you need to do to have your cold emails receiving warm responses. If you have not seen that video, I would encourage you to go and see it, because you will be able to see the slides, the presentation, and all of that. But you learn how to write cold emails as somebody who is interested in applying for graduate assistantships. Now, the other thing you need is networking. Your networking game needs to be on point, because at the level of graduate assistantship, you are dealing directly with the person who manages that process, or the person who owns that scholarship, which is another advantage. You don't have too many middle persons in between yourself and the person. What do I mean by cold email? I'll come back to explain that just shortly. So you don't have, the professor is directly in charge of the graduate assistantship, and the professor who is directly in charge of that graduate assistantship, you can establish a direct relationship with him or with her. So you can reach out to the person, you can connect with the person on LinkedIn, you can connect with the person on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere you find that person, you can connect. And it takes out the layer of middle persons. But if you are going to apply for PTDF scholarship, for instance, the executive chairman or executive secretary of PTDF is not the one who is going to interview you. So you will have maybe some lecturers, some professors, and some people who are going to interview you, and then they will make a recommendation that this person qualifies, based on this criteria, these are his scores, this is how he compares against the other people. But when you apply for a graduate assistantship, you are directly talking to the person who owns or manages that opportunity in the professor. So you need to be able to establish a good relationship with him or with her. Because once you establish that relationship, then the person is able to listen to you. The person is able to, you create a little space in the heart of the person for yourself, and then you occupy that place in the person's heart. That's what networking does for you, basically. The other thing you need if you are looking for graduate assistantship is publication. I believe we all joined the publication series that we had on this particular platform. You need to be able to show the person that you have the skills that are relevant to research. And the easiest way to convince any professor anywhere that I know of that you have the capacity to conduct research is to show the person a paper that you have published somewhere. Why is that the case, you may ask? Number one is most of the funded research they do would require you to write a technical report at the end of that project. And for every professor, the more papers they publish, the greater their profile is. For every academic, whether it's professor, doctor, just senior lecturer, graduate assistant lecturer, anything. But so long as that person is within the academia, the more the publications the person has, the greater the profile of the person. So they want somebody who can write publications. They want somebody who can sit down, develop a research idea, take it to the lab, or take it through a simulation software, complete that particular study, and put it together into a format that can be published, can be read, can be cited, can be referenced by other people. So once you're able to show a professor that you have a publication somewhere, forget about it. You have settled yourself. You have established to the person that you are the right person to hold on to if the person is looking for a graduate research assistant. All right. And that's why you need to take those lecture series seriously. That's why you need to go back to those things and get yourself acquainted with the process of writing papers, the process of publishing papers. I'm just right now writing one paper or finalizing one paper myself. So you go and get your papers published. And people will now say, oh, I have graduated. I don't have a lab and I don't have this and I don't have that. If you go through that series, you will see all the ways you can get your papers published and you can get your research published. Now, the other evidence you have, the other skills that are research oriented could be your data analysis skills, your experimental design skills. So if you have all these advanced data analysis skills, please, by all means, those are things that will be relevant to your graduate assistantship application. Now, the other key thing is this. Every graduate assistantship application will require you to go through an interview process. And that's why you want to step up your interview skills. You want to practice how to respond to interview questions. You want to practice how to behave during an interview, how to comport yourself, how to answer questions, what to say, what not to say, how to approach the questions that will be coming during those interviews. You need to step up your interview skills. Because at the end of all the other things that we've stated, you've sent out a cold email, you have been able to get the attention of the supervisor or the professor, you have been able to convince the person, shown that you have relevant research skills, shown your journal papers and all that. You need to also be able to present yourself well during an interview, represent yourself well in an interview, showcase those skills that you claim to have in an interview. When you're able to showcase those, then the person has no choice than to hire you into that particular position. The other reason why you need this particular skill and why they are looking for these skills when you apply for graduate assistantship is because you will have to go out to make presentations on behalf of that research group, on behalf of that professor. There is a conference somewhere coming up, and that conference is within the field that you people are working on, and you need to go out there and then represent that team. So you need to be able to have that, they need to see that ability in you from the time when you are applying for the opportunity. So step up that game. Step up that game. Now, let's look at the question of what is a cold email. A cold email is an email you are sending out to somebody who you know but does not know you. So you don't know the person doesn't know you, but you know the person somehow. Now, in the sake of, or in the realm of academic applications and scholarships, you are looking at a professor. You find who that professor is. You find the email address of that professor, maybe on the website or somewhere. We'll go into those details later. But the email you are sending out to that person is prior to you meeting him. You have never met the person does not know your name doesn't ring a bell to him, but the email is going to introduce you to the person. But through that introduction, you want to also convince the person that you are the right candidate he or she has been looking for. That's what a cold email is. So it's you expressing your interest in a professor's research area and convincing the professor alongside that introduction that you are the right candidate, or attempting to convince the professor that you are the right candidate for the position. Somebody is asking about the publications. How feasible will it be for someone without access to laboratory or workshop resources to carry out research publication in mechanical engineering? Well, this is good. If you don't have workshop, you don't have labs, the other thing you can do is to write a review paper, a review of one aspect of mechanical engineering, a review of maybe, what's it called again? Preventive maintenance, like studies on preventive maintenance and its benefit, a review of anything, predictive maintenance and all of those kind of things. You can find something within your field, write a review of it. A review is also considered a publication, but your review is going to be completely on the desktop. It's just a desktop research, and then you publish it. But during those days when we had that publication series, and I recommend everyone goes through those things. They cost money to organize, to put together. And there is so much value packed into those events. We had like 4 different people, 4 different lecturers who came in to teach, based on different aspects of the academia, and they were able to deliver an amazing, series of lectures. Now, the other thing you would learn from those series is that you are out of school, but there are people who are still in school. So you can collaborate, you can network with them, and they be the ones doing the lab work, and then you be the one interpreting the results and doing the write-up. In the end, the paper comes out, it's you and the other person. And that's also going to count as a publication for you. Now, these are the things that you need for the scholarship, the graduate assistantship scholarship. Someone is asking, can I publish a paper even without graduating yet? That's absolutely true. You can do it. What you might just need is mentorship. Like you might need a professor, you might need one of your lecturers to guide you a little bit, depending on how much of writing skills you already have. The person can guide you, the person can direct you, and then you will be able to get that paper published. But you don't need to be a graduate before you can publish. I know a friend who was a medical student at UNTH, and I know he had a couple of publications before he left that school for his housemanship. So you can do it if you commit yourself to it. All right, so somebody is asking for links to the publication series. I'm going to share the link much later after this event, but they are all on our YouTube channel and you can find them there. So let's go back to the conversation. The government-funded scholarships and the institutional scholarships, what do you need to be able to win all these scholarships? I mentioned the number of those kind of scholarships. Now, what do you need? What are they looking for in you? Some of those scholarships are going to look for an evidence of good grades. And that's why you will see some of them, they will call themselves excellence scholarship. You will see some, in fact, yeah, the ironies of life. A lot of people will tell you that Bill Gates did not complete school, he did not do this, he did not do that. But when you look at the scholarship that Bill Gates offers in partnership with Cambridge University, that scholarship is an excellence scholarship. So even though, for some reasons he may not have finished school and all that, but when it comes to offering scholarships, he's offering them to excellent students. So these categories of scholarships, they would require you to have good grades. They're also going to require you to have to be going into a field that is relevant to maybe the economy of the country or to one global agenda or the other. At the moment, when you look at MasterCard Foundation scholarship, they are mostly revolving around climate change and the SDG goals. That's MasterCard Foundation at master's degree level. When you look at it, they are mostly just revolving around those SDG, the Millennium Development Goals and all that. So they are going to have their agendas, and the agenda will drive what they are looking for. Some of them, they're going to look for evidence that you have been committed to serving your society. Committed to serving your society. All these people abroad, there's something they call volunteering. That is, you do a job or you do something good for the society without looking up to payments or without looking up for payments. That's volunteering, something you do for free, but something that is useful to somebody, to the society, to a particular community, or to the world at large. So all the people who have been able to volunteer one way or the other, some of these scholarships want to see evidence that you have volunteered. Some of them want to see evidence that you are active in the professional body that's relevant to your field. For engineers, for instance, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, or for the petroleum engineers like myself, the Society of Petroleum Engineers, all these professional bodies, some of them want to see that you are doing something that's relevant to your field or active within that particular space. Now, all the scholarships that I know of that are funded by institutions, they are all going to require you to write an essay. at least one. Some of them are going to require you to write 4 essays. Some are going to require you to write 2 essays. Some are going to require you to write 3, 5, depending. But the number of words you write into those essays are also going to differ. It's like what we did recently where I said write an essay of 100 words or not more than 100 words where you explain to me how your course relates to the energy industry or how your course is relevant to the energy industry. The outcome we are still going to announce. I know that 2 outcomes are ready today. The judge will go through the rest of the applications and then give us the remaining 2 outcomes, and then we will also announce those in due course. But you are going to learn how to write essays, and not just how to write essays, but how to write essays within the boundaries of the essay, within the conditions that have been defined for the essay. So somebody comes to say, I need you to write an essay of not more than 300 words. Then you start writing. You must now discipline yourself to write every story you want to write, but congest them and squeeze them into a word count that is not more than 300 without missing out on key relevant aspects of your qualification. There is this particular application I'm just in the process of making now for a bursary here in the UK, and we have to write 4 different essays and then 1 brief introduction of ourselves. The introduction is in 100 words or in less than 100 words. Then the essays are in less than 300 words. One of them, I started writing it. When I finished the draft of that particular segment, I had 800 words because I needed to start big to be able to put all the ideas together. And then I now began to narrow those words down. I had to now start thinking, how do I restructure these sentences? How do I go from maybe simple sentences to complex sentences, or from complex sentences to compound sentences, so that I am able to shrink all the information, condense it into 300 words. And I can tell you that it's not a very simple task, but it's something you get used to over time and with practice. Usually, you need to have a framework that you use for your essay writing. If you don't have a framework, you would always struggle. You don't have a framework, you would always struggle with essay writing. But there is a place where we're going to talk about that just before the end of this particular event. Now, because we've spent time recently to talk about cold emails, I'm not sure if we need to go back to discussing it in details now. What do you think? Cold emails, are we familiar with it enough? Do we spend time on it, or do we skip it to something else that's, we've not talked about so much? Cold emails, that's your starting point for every graduate assistantship application. Let me know in the comment section. Cold emails, are we okay with it? Do we spend time on it, or do we move on? I'm looking forward to your answer, your responses in the comment section. What do you think? Any responses? If I don't see any responses, I will assume that we're okay with it, and then I'll move on to the next segment. Is that okay? All right, so somebody already confirmed that they are okay with cold emails. Let's keep it. Yeah, good enough. If you are not comfortable with writing cold emails, please refer to a video on this particular platform. There's a detailed video here where you can see cold emails and how to write them. All right, so on the essay writing, now I mentioned essays, and there is a framework you must always use when you write your essays. And this is the way I like to think about essay. Every essay is always going to be different. And if you ask me to write an essay on one topic today, and you ask me to write the same essay by next year, my responses are going to change. And the reason why my responses will change is because I am going to respond in real time. That's based on what I already gathered, what I have already learned, the improvements that I've made to my life between that period of the first one and the second one. Those are going to reflect in the second essay that I'm going to write. But the framework of the essay wouldn't necessarily change. And the reason why the framework of the essay wouldn't necessarily change is because the response has to address a particular thing. So somebody says to me, tell me why you qualify for this scholarship, or tell me why you should be given this scholarship. The first thing I want to do is I want to look at what is the objective of that person who is giving me the money. Because you cannot tell somebody to give you money to fund something that the person is completely not interested in. And this is the mistake many people make. People approach scholarships from the position of, this is what I want. But scholarship applications are not based on you. They are not really going to be about what you want. They're going to be more about, what does the funder want? What is the funder trying to fund? What is the aim? And what's the objective that the person is trying to achieve? For instance, I've always loved history. From when I was small, I love history, and sometimes I can engage even the historians on the history of certain kind of places, maybe the history of Nigeria or the history of the Second World War and all those kind of things. I could engage somebody who is a history student on that. But if PTDF has called for applications and what they have said is, we're interested in sponsoring energy-related courses, then I need to sit down and think of, what do I tell these people here to make them believe that I am the best person to be funded to conduct this particular research. And this is what the mindset to even carry along when you start applying for, all these business grants or anything at all that's going to involve somebody sponsoring you. Think about the person. Who is this person? What does the person want to achieve? And based on what the person wants to achieve, you now tell the person how you will help the person to achieve that. Now, the essays you write during scholarship application is not you coming to beg for the scholarship. You don't beg for it. And that's why I made that post the other day, that scholarships are won, they are not given. You win the scholarship. They don't give you a scholarship. You win them. And how do you win the scholarship? You don't win it by writing an essay that portrays you as a beggar. You are not coming there to ask the person for mercy. Please give me the scholarship. Oh, the reason why you need to give me the scholarship is because nobody has gone to school in my family. Oh, in my family, my parents are poor. And even in the whole of my village, nobody has ever gone to school. That's not what these Oyibo people are looking for. They are not there. They are interested, but not too interested. They are looking for somebody who will deliver results. So you now think of, what have you done that shows that you can deliver results? If the person is looking for a data analyst, in what particular scenario have you been able to apply data analysis skills, and what was the outcome? What were the challenges that you faced before that are likely to be faced in this particular position or under this particular scholarship? And how did you overcome those challenges, and how are you going to apply them to the new circumstance? Those are the kind of things they want to see. That's the mindset they have. Now, when the particular application I told us that I am just in the process of completing now, I know that the industry somehow is going towards somewhere. Everybody is talking about climate change. Everybody is talking about the worries of climate change. They are talking about sustainability. So even when I'm writing something that's purely oil and gas, I try to think of it in the process on the angle of, so the industry is oil and gas, but the industry also are looking for solutions that maybe will keep the oil flowing but polluting less. So once I'm able to fix that on my mind, then even if I don't have the immediate answers, I can begin to use the internet to query Google or to query ChatGPT. How do I achieve this? How do I do this, or how do I do that? Once I'm able to get that, then I am in the position to convince the people to give me what I am looking for. And that's the way you should approach your essays. The STAR approach, I don't want to start spending time on that. The STAR approach, where you say situation, task, action, and results. I believe we all know that, but that's one of the frameworks that you can use for writing your essays. Write within a framework so that you are able to address all the relevant points. Also, think of the person who is asking you to write that essay. The same thing applies when you are writing your cold email. Think of the problem, the pain point of the person. Because once you're able to identify somebody's pain, then and you now provide a solution to that person's pain, the person will most likely engage you over somebody who is telling him or her how frivolous things of things they are not interested in knowing. So identify the person, study the person, look at where he is going, what does this person want out of this, then think of your previous experiences and how those experiences, your previous experiences, your current skills, how they integrate to solve a particular problem. Let those stories run through your essays and you'll be able to convince anybody that you can win. Now, there are other requirements apart from the essays and apart from the cold emails. Of course, you know that you must have an international passport to start applying for international scholarships. If you don't have international passports, please go and get one. And if you happen to be the one who wins, the big prize, and you don't have international passport and you are close to graduating, please, by all means, do your best to get yourself an international passport. It's a very good starting point. You need it. It's not too expensive if you do it yourself. I think at the moment it's somewhere around 50,000 naira, and you would have gotten yourself an international passport. Now, you need your CV. There are videos on our YouTube channel on how to write your CV and make it, both the academic and the professional CVs. You can go look that up. There are also other requirements that you need to meet. You need to get your transcript ready. I know it can be a challenge in Nigeria, but please do your best to get your transcript. You can get it if you put your mind to it, and you will need it. The other thing you need is your certificate, and then sometimes you need a test of English language. Some other times you don't need it. I didn't need it to apply for the PTDF scholarship. I didn't even need test of English to gain admission into the UK. That is another advantage of writing publications, because when the schools were asking me for English language test, I was like, come, I've worked in a place where English is the language of instruction. This is also the evidence. I've written publications in English language, and they just waived that English language trouble for me. And these are some of the things that you will need. Somebody is asking, please, is there any video about writing an essay? Yes, there's a video on my YouTube channel where you have essay writing and CV writing. They are combined in one particular video. You can always refer to the place. The problem is that many of us don't really refer to the YouTube, and even the old videos on the Facebook, we don't refer to them. And so somehow we have to keep refreshing our minds on all of these. Somebody was complaining about network. I don't know if it is clearer now and if it is up and running. Please let me know in the comment section if you can hear me very clearly. Now, the other things we want to talk about is you are a young graduate, a recent graduate, and you want to travel out. Okay, is it good to add your professional experience to your academic CV? Yes, it depends. But what I do is, if I'm going to write an academic CV, I make the academic component of my life, come first. And then the other professional components come after that academic experience or the academic relevant experiences. The reason I do that is because some scholarships are applied like industrial research. Recently in my university, there was this particular group of people that came. They wanted the school to design something for them, some kind of containers for hydrogen storage or for transporting hydrogen gas, compressed hydrogen. It's a challenging field, within the material science scope. And in fact, if anybody is here and you are interested in material science or materials engineering, looking at materials for transporting and storing hydrogen can be a very good area that will fetch you a scholarship very quickly. There are lots of unknowns, lots of things that people are studying, they're investigating and all that. So this particular company, they came and the school was to study that. And one of the people who got into that project was somebody who had industry experience with fabrications. like fabricating equipment and all that, because they needed to fabricate an equipment. It's called or manage a fabrication process using a filament winding equipment. These are like jargons, pardon me for that. But what I'm trying to say is that there are some scholarships that are designed to conduct industry research. So on those kind of scholarships, the people who have industry experience or professional experience within that scope are preferred over the other ones. So in that particular case, I would always include my professional experience in my academic CV or my academic CV, but let the academic relevant components come first. So when you start writing your experiences, put the academic components first, then follow that up with your professional side. Let's make progress. Now, after you've done your international passport, if you're a copper here, don't spend your allowance on other things. Focus on saving money and getting yourself an international passport. It's very important. It's going to open doors for you. It's going to help you grab opportunities. Don't play with it. It's very serious. Now, you need to be able to practice interview skills. You remember I mentioned it. Interview skills. If you are the shy person, start breaking away from the shyness. You are going to interview a lot in your life. It's just going to be a component of your life for a very long time. Please go and practice how to interview. If you don't find somewhere to practice with yourself. Just go stand before your mirror and imagine yourself answering interview questions and start answering. And the other people who are camera shy, you need to also break that camera shyness, because all the scholarships you are going to apply for abroad that will interview you are going to interview you over a camera, like on Zoom, like on Google Meets, on Teams, or on Skype, somewhere. But they're going to interview you using an electronic medium. So you need to get yourself ready. You need to get yourself prepared for that. If you don't know how to conduct interviews, please and please practice it. It's very important. And I know that during NYSC, they may not teach you all these things, like how to do interview, or they might send you to go and start learning how to make shoes in Said. You can learn your shoemaking, you can learn any other thing, but please practice how to perform, how to attend to interview questions, what you need to know, how you need to compose yourself, the times you need to make eye contact, the times you don't need to make eye contact, when you need to ask questions, when you don't need to ask questions, how you need to answer the question, tell us about yourself. Because almost every interview will start with that question in one form or the other form. It could come directly as tell us about yourself, let's get to know you, tell us how your experience is relevant to this job, tell us what you bring to this job, why we should hire you. All of those questions are related to tell us about yourself. You need to master those particular questions. And you need to understand, tell me about yourself is not tell me your name. They already know your name. You submitted a CV. After all, you have applied. They reached out to you. They sent you emails. They addressed you as whoever, Johnson or Thomas, when they were sending those emails. They know your name already. So when they are saying, tell us about yourself, it's not about your name. It goes beyond that. You need to understand all of those things. You need to be able to convince the people that, one, you have the knowledge. Two, you have the skills. Three, you have the boldness, because you need boldness in the world. You need boldness to appear before a congregation and make presentations on behalf of your research team. You need to even be ready. We went somewhere the other day for a conference, and we had worked on this research together, three of us with our supervisor. And the man who was supposed to present that day became sick in the process, very close to the day of the conference. We got to the conference venue and they needed somebody to stand in his place because he was having this serious headache that wouldn't let him present. If all of us, the rest of us, were shy to stand before people, if we didn't know how to interview, we didn't know how to do anything, we will all shy away. But somebody needed to step up and then deliver an amazing presentation, take questions where the questions are coming from, and that will just be it. Get yourself prepared for interviews. You are going to need it like every time at every stage of your life, whether you are looking for a job, you're looking for a scholarship, even beyond. By the time you go into business, you will also find that time you are not being interviewed for the job, but your customers are going to be interviewing you before they give you their money. All right, they are going to question you. They are going to try to interrogate you and see how serious you are. how much quality you can deliver, and all that. All of these are forms of interviews. You need to also develop your emotional intelligence to a very high level for interview questions and answers, because some of them are going to come, cornered and indirect. And what you say can be used against you or used in your favor. So you master that, improve your emotional intelligence, know when to answer, know when to say, well, I have not looked into this much. I don't have as much skill as this, but based on what I have, I know that I can step up. I know that I can develop this within a short time. And you also know that when you get into an interview position, they need quantifiable data. They need you to be able to tell them exactly what you have done. Don't come and make vague statements that, you used to teach. Like, so how many people were you teaching? What class were you teaching? What was the age bracket of the people you were teaching? After you taught them for how many years, what was the improvements in their lives? Or how did they start performing after that? Did they improve? Did they degrade? All of those kind of things. These are things you need to master when you go into an interview. Learn how to do interviews. Now, a lot of people have a lot of good experiences. They've done a lot of good things that are relevant to scholarships. Their problem is they don't have any record of all those things. They don't remember them. They can't remember what they did. They don't have a record of what they did. And that's the problem that many people have when they write CVs and when they go for interviews. Try to document the things you are doing. When you get into a job, regardless of how small the job is, try to make notes of what you are doing. What did I do today? Or what did I do this week? What are the key figures that stand out? You are a copper. When you are going for your CDS, what did you do in that CDS? What was your role? Because in the end, when you write an essay, is this story that you are going to tell. When you write a CV, is the figures into those things that you are going to, narrate and recreate. When you go for your interviews, those are the stories that you are going to tell. Because sometimes they can tell you to tell them about a real life situation where you have done something relevant to this particular field. Now you need to go into your memory, dig out all those records and pour them out. So learn to keep your records and learn to put those records into words when the time comes. Now, how do you win the scholarships? A lot of people think that applying for scholarship is an easy business. I'm here to shock you, it's not. Scholarships are not given on a platter of gold. Like, I see people who apply for scholarship once and they run away. The truth is, even the people who are first class sometimes would apply and apply and apply and apply. Sometimes it's because they are not applying with the right documents. They are not writing their essays well. They are not reflecting the right kind of things that the people want to see in their essays. They are not quantifying their experience and their accomplishments and all that. In some other cases, it's just because the competition is tough and high. So I went to apply for a particular scholarship in 2010. We were applying for the bilateral educational agreement scholarship. I had a friend who was very smart. Like 3 friends who applied with me, they were very smart, very, very smart people. I mean, very smart. I knew them. We finished from the same secondary school. I know their capacity. But when we applied for the scholarship, they just needed 2 people from the state that year. They needed 2 people from Enugu State to go and, represent, to win the scholarship in the name of the state. Now, when we went there, it became a case of if you had a B in your WAEC and I had an A in my WAEC, I was already 1 inch ahead of you. If you had 2 A's and I had 3 A's in relevant subjects, I was 1 step ahead of you. So it's not going to be, come and take it on a platter of gold all the time. There are some times when you apply and you are the best candidate by every standard of judgment, you are just outstanding. But there are some other times when you apply and it is tough, you don't get it, even though you've done your best. You don't. School fees is paid by the institution, and £18,000 is about 36 million naira at the moment. It's been increased. It's even beyond that at the moment to somewhere around 20 or 21,000 pounds at the moment. That's if you are doing PhD. If you are doing a master's, it's somewhere around, I can't remember the exact amount of money, but the money is just a lot. You can't get that money working in the industry in Nigeria. And then you get this advantage of living in a country where you can of the conference. We got to the conference venue and they needed somebody to stand in his place because he was having this serious headache that wouldn't let him present. You know, if all of us, the rest of us were shy to stand before people, if we didn't know how to interview, we didn't know how to do anything, we will all shy away. But somebody needed to step up and then deliver an amazing presentation, take questions where the questions are coming from, and that will just be it. Get yourself prepared for interviews. You are going to need it like every time at every stage of your life, whether you are looking for a job, you're looking for a scholarship, even beyond. By the time you go into business, you will also find that that time you are not being interviewed for the job, but your customers are going to be interviewing you before they give you their money. All right, they are going to question you. They are going to try to interrogate you and see how serious you are, how much quality you can deliver, and all that. All of these are forms of interviews. You need to also develop your emotional intelligence to a very high level for interview questions and answers, because some of them are going to come, cornered and indirect. And what you say can be used against you or used in your favor. So you master that. Improve your emotional intelligence, know when to answer, know when to say, well, I have not looked into this much. I don't have as much skill as this, but based on what I have, I know that I can step up. I know that I can develop this within a short time. And you also know that when you get into an interview position, they need quantifiable data. They need you to be able to tell them exactly what you have done. Don't come and make vague statements that, you used to teach. Like, so how many people were you teaching? What class were you teaching? What was the age bracket of the people you were teaching? After you taught them for how many years, what was the improvements in their lives? Or how did they start performing after that? Did they improve? Did they degrade? All of those kind of things. These are things you need to master when you go into an interview. Learn how to do interviews. Now, a lot of people have a lot of good experiences. They've done a lot of good things that are relevant to scholarships. Their problem is they don't have any record of all those things. They don't remember them. They can't remember what they did. They don't have a record of what they did. And that's the problem that many people have when they write CVs, when they go for interviews. Try to document the things you are doing. When you get into a job, regardless of how small the job is, try to make notes of what you are doing. What did I do today? Or what did I do this week? What are the key figures that stand out? You are a copper. When you are going for your CDS, what did you do in that CDS? What was your role? Because in the end, when you write an essay, is this story that you are going to tell. When you write a CV, is the figures into those things that you are going to, narrate and recreate. When you when you go for your interviews, those are the stories that you are going to tell. Because sometimes they can tell you to tell them about a real life situation where you have done something relevant to this particular field. Now you need to go into your memory, dig out all those records and pour them out. So learn to keep your records and learn to put those records into words when the time comes. Now, how do you win the scholarships? A lot of people think that applying for scholarship is an easy business. I'm here to shock you, it's not. Scholarships are not given on a platter of gold. Like, I see people who apply for scholarship once and they run away. The truth is, even the people who are first class sometimes would apply and apply and apply and apply. Sometimes it's because they are not applying with the right documents. They are not writing their essays well. They are not reflecting the right kind of things that the people want to see in their essays. They are not quantifying their experience and their accomplishments and all that. In some other cases, it's just because the competition is tough and high. So I went to apply for a particular scholarship in 2010. We were applying for the bilateral educational agreement scholarship. I had a friend who was very smart, like 3 friends who applied with me. They were very smart, very, very smart people. I mean, very smart. I knew them. We finished from the same secondary school. I know their capacity. But when we applied for the scholarship, they just needed 2 people from the States. that year. They needed 2 people from Enugu State to go and, represent, to win the scholarship in the name of the state. Now, when we went there, it became a case of if you had a B in your WAEC and I had an A in my WAEC, I was already 1 inch ahead of you. If you had 2 A's and I had 3 A's in relevant subjects, I was 1 step ahead of you. So it's not going to be, come and take it on a platter of gold all the time. There are some times when you apply and you are the best candidate by every standard of judgment, you are just outstanding. But there are some other times when you apply and it is tough, you don't get it, even though you've done your best, you don't go back and become discouraged. We see those rejection letters, all of us have received it. I've gone through an interview process where this professor the feedback was that I was one of the best he had interviewed for the position. There was a second level of interview from the HR, the administration department, which, was what disqualified me. But you don't give up. You don't fold your hands and then run away that the scholarship, they are too tough, I can't go there. The reason why you don't want to fold your hand is because apart from the exposure, apart from the opportunity to learn abroad, to study in a developed country and, the networking opportunities it opens up to you, there is a lot of money in it. And I'm going to be very open to us today. Now, you see, there are scholarships. I've seen a scholarship in this United Kingdom, a graduate assistantship or studentship, as they call it in the UK, that was going to pay people £24,000 per year. Now, £24,000 at the current exchange rate in Nigeria is about 48 million naira. 48 million naira. That's for you to just be a student. In addition to that, you take up that particular scholarship and you still have the opportunity to work 20 hours per week as a student. I don't know any job. I was in the oil and gas industry, and I know that oil and gas is one of the best paying industries in Nigeria. There is hardly any job at a graduate entry level in Nigeria. There is none. In fact, ExxonMobil, as at the last time I know, would not pay you as much as that money. And then not to talk of the local oil companies, the indigenous ones. Nobody is going to give you that kind of money. Now, in addition to that amount of money that you will get, you will be living in a country that is organized, where things are working well. You'll be studying in a place where you have resources and infrastructure. You will be in a school where at least if you need research papers from other places, the school is subscribed. You can download them for free without having to look for a friend or look for a back-end access to it. All of those advantages. But the money can be huge sometimes. And this is for the UK. Now, the Nigerian government itself or Nigerian institutions are funding scholarships abroad with the amount of money that you will not be paid working in civil service in Nigeria. When I left Nigeria to the UK, PTDF was funding, we were getting paid at the time £18,600 per year. This is not your school fees. Your school fees is paid by the institution, and £18,000 is about 36 million naira at the moment. It's been increased. It's even beyond that at the moment to somewhere around 20 or 21,000 pounds at the moment. That's if you are doing PhD. If you are doing a master's, it's somewhere around, I can't remember the exact amount of money, but the money is just a lot. You can't get that money working in the industry in Nigeria. And then you get this advantage of living in a country where you can, do some other things. You can still work. You can make some other money by the side and all that. And there are certain opportunities that you get to access when you are outside of Africa that those who are within Africa can only dream of. They can only try to access them through VPN. For instance, there is a company called Outlier. So what Outlier does is they train AI models. I don't know if you have heard about Outlier here, please just drop a message, say yes in the comment section. So Outlier, they train AI models. I think the company is based in Canada or the US, I'm not very sure. But what they do is they hire people from different backgrounds, different academic backgrounds, different language backgrounds, and they make you to query AI, prompt the AI, see the responses of the AI models, and then help to improve those responses and make them better, improve their quality. The last time I know, There is no country in Africa that is allowed to participate in that. And these are jobs that would pay as high as $50 per hour. Just a remote job. You sit in your house, you query the AI, you train them, and you get those kind of that kind of money paid directly to you. I've heard of people who are doing it. It's not a story that somebody told me. I know somebody who does that job, and the person someday was telling me that he makes over £4,000 every month doing that particular job. What does he do? He just queries AI models, trains them, sees their responses, improves on those responses, feeds it back to the AI model, and then the AI model just gets perfected. AI models are all these like ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of those kind of things. So these are some of the opportunities that you can explore, opportunities that you can utilize when you are outside of your home country. And that's why you don't want to fold your hands and give up. A lot of other things that we are not going to be talking about on a live session. If you are confused at any point, like you don't know why you should apply for a scholarship, call me and I'll tell you why. Because you need to apply, you need to get these things. So, as a recent graduate, what are you supposed to be doing now? You know that all the scholarships we've mentioned, or most of them, are cyclic scholarships. Then what should you do? Go and read the details of what those scholarships require and start preparing those documents. Start gathering those documents. If they said they want somebody who has volunteered before, go and volunteer somewhere. It's not so difficult. What I'm doing now can be, if you tell me to write about a situation where I volunteered before, I will sit down and write an essay about this and tell the person about how many people have joined this and how I volunteered to do this, how it was free of charge. You can wake up one day and decide to volunteer online and host a class of what you already know. You can wake up one day and decide to host a voluntary class, mathematics class for junior secondary school students. Those are part of your volunteering. Now, when you start writing the essay, you're not just going to come there and say, oh, I volunteered to teach maths. No, you're going to talk about the need in the society. You identify that within this community, the students were struggling with mathematics because most of them are first generation graduate or first generation students where their parents did not go to school. This is I'm just giving an example. Because their parents and siblings did not go to school, they don't have anybody to do tutorials for them at home. And because of that, they are consequently struggling in schools with math. And because they are struggling, you identified it and decided to host this voluntary class for them. That is volunteering. That is community engagement. That is you giving back and serving your community. You can use that to apply for scholarships like Chevening. You can use that to apply for scholarships like any other thing. You are doing your youth service at the moment. You find a particular area of that your school that is not, or that your community that is not so clean. You can organize people and clean the place up. Or you find a particular school within the society where the teachers are not enough, or where the students are struggling. You can organize your colleagues, fellow corpers, and say, let's go and do this for this particular community. And that is why you need to learn how to work together as well. Because if you tell your colleagues, let's go and do this, they need to know why they are doing it. They need to know the advantage, the benefit that is going to give to them. They need to see that you are not being selfish and using them. So if you say, dear corpers, my colleagues, let's go to this school, let's volunteer to teach these students, conduct extramural classes for them, and this is how we can use it. You are the leader. They are also participating in the thing. So you can use that to write your leadership essays. What did you see? You saw a need in the society. Why did you have to lead others into it? You know that if you go into it by yourself, it's not going to be efficient. You wanted a multiplier effect. You wanted to be able to impact a wider group of people within the community within a short time. And then you needed to mobilize people. What were the challenges? Some of the people were reluctant. How did you convince them? And then after you convinced them, how did you mobilize them? How did you make them buy into the vision? That is leadership already. All right? Because leadership is you take people from where they are to where they ought to be, or where you want them to be. Hopefully the place you want them to be is the perfect place. Then take the people from there to the place. That is you preparing yourself. What else should you do? Find those scholarships that you have applied for, or you are interested in applying for. Talk to the people who have won that scholarship. The people who are the alumni of that particular scholarship. Speak to them, talk to them, understand what did they do that made them to stand out? What are the skills they had, or how did they present themselves to be able to win that particular scholarship? If you ask me about PTDF anytime, I can tell you, I know how many, I can't count. I lost count of how many people who have won the PTDF scholarship by either listening to me, talking to me, or watching the videos that I've posted about it, because I've gone through that process. I know what it looks like on the inside. And I can tell you that this is what the process looks like. This is what will be required of you. This is what you need to do. And this is how you need to do it. And if you follow that, you will get close to winning the scholarship. So there is that element of what you need to do. There is that element of you trying to prepare ahead of time. And the other key thing I want you to take out from today is that you need to be passionate. You need to put action to, put your thoughts and your wishes into actions, and then you need to be resilient in that process. If you fail on it today, don't give up. Try it again. Improve on what you have done before and give it a second try. Now, where do you find all these scholarships? We've mentioned the STAR approach. I've mentioned something called SWOT today, SWOT analysis. I believe you are familiar with all of those. The other thing you need to know is, where do you find the scholarships? Because you can't win if you don't apply, and you can't apply if you don't know where to find them. All right? You can't win a scholarship if you don't apply. They are not going to bring it to your father's house and give to you. You need to apply. You need to put yourself out there. But you need to know where to find the scholarships. And I'm going to give you a number of places. These are also places I use myself to find the scholarships that I share with us. So the platform Academy of Scholarships and Transitions, what we try to do is teach you how to get the fish. I'm not, the vision is bigger than just coming to post links to scholarships. As you can see, I'm not trying to keep you within the scope of, I post scholarship, you like it, you comment on it. I want you to learn something that you can go out there and teach others yourself. By teaching others, you are volunteering. By volunteering, you are preparing yourself to win scholarships through the essays that you will write. So some of the places. One is, you can use Google. You can search, just write scholarships in this field, or scholarships for master's degrees in the UK, scholarships for master's degree in Poland, scholarships for master's degree in Australia. You will see a lot of them showing up. You can, if you want to make it even more specific, use the AI functions, the AI tools, to search and to query them to give you the list, and then you can go and find those applications online. Then, if you look at the other place where you can find scholarships a lot of time, is the websites of the universities. Every university abroad, especially the graduate assistantship, they will come there and they will tell you something like, some universities will call it funding, some universities will call it scholarships. They will just find a name for it. But as somebody who understands English, if you see it, you will know. So they will call it one name on one segment of their website. And when you go through that website, you will see the open graduate assistantship positions. And then you will see some of the other scholarships that they have partnerships with outside. All right. So if you go to the website of my school, for instance, you will see that there is PTDF scholarship that is sending people to the school. You will see some other scholarships like that. And then you will see the scholarships that are funded directly by the school themselves. So this is a very good place to look for scholarships if you are searching. The other place where you can go to is the website of the scholarship awarding institutions. I have mentioned a number of them today. There is Commonwealth, there is Rhodes Foundation, there is Gates Cambridge Foundation, there is Gates Cambridge Scholarship, there is the MasterCard Foundation, there is PTDF, there is NDDC, there is, I think, NLNG in Nigeria. There is, which one again? A whole lot of them, like the range is just numerous. The Swedish Institute, the Irish government, I think MEX, is it MEX they call themselves? A whole lot of all these places will have scholarships. Please go and look at those websites. Just go find the websites. You will see the deadlines. You will see the opening dates, the requirements, and the deadlines. Pay attention to those things. Sometimes they will even tell you how much money that they give out there. And you will be a happy person when you start understanding them. Then there are scholarship blogs. I'll give a number of them. There is one called opportunities.com. There's another one called jobs.ac.uk. There is opportunitiespedia.com and a whole lot of all those other places. You can check up those websites and you will find good, very amazing scholarship opportunities there. When you find all these scholarships, apply for them. Now, there is one that I love a lot, because if you go to the website of a university, you will just be seeing the scholarships that are available to that university alone. If you go to the website of a particular organization, you'll be seeing only the scholarship that is available within that organization. Somebody has just mentioned Erasmus. I didn't even remember it just now. But if you go through social media or the scholarship blogs, they give you access to most of these other scholarships, because they are usually going to go out there, seek for all those scholarships, find all those scholarships, put them together, and send them out to you. So as much as you focus on looking at the scholarship, the websites of the schools, the scholarship funding websites, try to also pay attention to what's going on social media, what's going on social media, what's going on the scholarship blogs. Try to pay attention to all those, because once you are able to grab all of those, you have more opportunities within your hands. The other advantage is this: if you are applying for scholarships and the only place you are looking at is the website of the universities, you might miss out on a lot of scholarships, and I will explain why. Now, here is somebody who has studied chemistry or physics. I love to use those people for example. And because sometimes they don't know how wide their courses can be applied. Now, the person has finished and graduated from physics or from chemistry, and the person goes to the website of maybe University of Texas at Austin. I love that school as well. And that person is looking at the section or the department of chemistry or the department of physics. And within the department of physics, there are some scholarships that are listed. And that list of scholarships are graduate assistantship opportunities within the department, within the department of physics or the department of chemistry. Now, this person is just there, and those are the limited options he or she can see. The person can't even see the options for scholarships within engineering that need the skills and the knowledge of a chemist. The person can't even see the scholarships within the department of maybe, which other one now? Materials engineering, that needs the skills of a polymer engineer or needs the skills of a chemistry graduate. But when you go through the social media platform and the scholarship blogs, you are able to see that there is a scholarship in University of Texas at Austin. And the requirements of the scholarship is: 1, you must be a graduate; 2, you can come from a background of chemistry or physics or a background in engineering; 3, you must have maybe a 2-1 or a 2-2, and all that list is there. So don't just get stuck with the university's website. Try to look outside, look broader, because many of the scholarships in these developed countries are not going to come in the name of your course. Bear this in mind. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. Take note of this. Many of the scholarships are not going to come in the name of your course. They are not going to come as a scholarship award for chemical engineers, or a scholarship award for what now? For graduates of linguistics. They are not going to come in that form, because very often the scholarships are going to come as multidisciplinary offers. So when you see the name of the scholarship, and even when you see the department that is advertising the scholarship, don't run away yet. It says the Department of Mechanical Engineering has advertised for a research-based scholarship. Once it is research-based, pay attention to the next detail. They're going to now start telling you who qualifies for it, because it could be a mechanical engineering department organizing it, but they are not looking for a mechanical engineer. They are looking for a polymer engineer somewhere, because maybe they are trying to design a vessel, or they are trying to design a cylinder that will be making use of polymers. They are going to design something that requires policy. Maybe they are working on policy or regulations, managing a particular mechanical engineering component but on a policy level. So somebody who has studied policy or international relations or something like that sees mechanical engineering, the person runs away, but he or she is actually the person that the mechanical engineering department is looking for at that point. So when it is research funding, please don't run away from the title. Do not become intimidated. And also, remember always that winning scholarships is not about you and what you want. It's about what the funder of the scholarship wants. They have their targets, they have what they want to deliver. And it is what they want that is really relevant. What they want is what matters. And because what they want is what matters, you need to be relatively flexible on your own research interests. Now, I'm not against you having your particular research interest to say that you want to study, which one now? Just anything. Maybe you can tell me your research interest in the comment section. Let me know your research interest in the comment section. But at some point in my own life, my research interest was drilling and drilling fluids. But at a point, I had to tell myself the truth. Not many people are putting funds into drilling. Not many people are putting funds into drilling fluids anymore. And because not many people are putting funds into those places, I needed to find something that, has money coming into it. That's why I tell people, when it comes to research, follow the money. Where's the money going? I'm not saying you should go and research something that is against your principles of life, your moral values and all that. No, but identify the place where the money is going to, and then try to see if your research interest can be adapted into that, and whether your skills can fit into that, and whether your knowledge can set you up for success on that. If the answers are yes, 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 then modify your research interest and please move on. Do we follow what I am saying? Or I am talking too much? All right, so learn how to, understand that you need to be a bit flexible on your research interest. The other thing you must do when it comes to graduate assistantship, you remember I mentioned networking. When it comes to graduate assistantships, I just recommend go to LinkedIn. I gave us this assignment at the beginning of the year. Go to LinkedIn and connect with all the professors, as many of them as possible within your field in different countries. Connect. So that when you connect with them, engage with them. There is a networking video on my YouTube channel. If you are struggling with managing conversations on LinkedIn and managing senior professionals, just go to YouTube. You will find that conversation very enriching. You will even see slides. I will give you examples. I gave examples there of how to do it. And even if you are looking for a job, that video is still relevant to you, because what we do here is not like everybody is going to be on scholarship every day. So we take care of those who are looking for scholarships, those who are looking for jobs. Everything I have said today, if you apply them, just switch your mind from scholarship and put a job in front of it. All of the things I have said today will apply and help you to get a job. In fact, networking has been the way I get jobs. And I love it because it takes out the unnecessary components. I've done professional jobs where I did not have to write aptitude tests. I've done professional jobs where the interview was just like, and very kind of informal conversations, just discuss, talk, gist more or less, because it was a case of the people were kind of already convinced even ahead of the employment. And because they were already convinced through the networks that we've built over time, the months or the years or the weeks, then there is no stress. You just go, you walk into the place and you more or less get started on the job. So when I say networking to win scholarships, just if you change scholarship to job, apply the same principles and you see yourself landing a job. Is that something we agree with? Go connect with professors in your field. When you connect and they post, you are the first person to see it. When you connect and you are engaging with them, when you submit an application, your name rings a bell. So on different layers, They can see your capacity through the posts you are making. They can see your capacity through the comments you are making on other people's posts or in their own posts. So the game is ensure that they can remember you. All those professors within your field, increase their number in your network so that when LinkedIn, the algorithms begin to show people, they can see that there is a large pool of this particular category within your network, and then they get to see your post. And because they are seeing reasonable content, when you apply for a job or a position under them, your name already rings a bell. I can't count how many times I go to an event here in the UK. I don't keep count of them, but I go to an event and I'm talking to somebody and the person is like, oh, he has seen your name before, or let's connect on LinkedIn, and then you find out you're already connected. And sometimes these are high profile people. These are people in positions that can, just with a phone call or with an email, get you a job or get you into a scholarship. Be that way with your scholarship search. Graduate assistantships are not just for PhDs. Graduate assistantships are for master's degree students and for PhD students. And very often, do not forget that abroad, you must not have a master's degree before you can start a PhD. There is something that is called direct PhD. And with a direct PhD, what it means is that you just go straight from your bachelor's to start doing your PhD. I know people who have done it. I know a young boy who came to do youth service in the company where I was working in Nigeria. Before he finished his youth service, he had a direct PhD scholarship to go and study in the United States of America. I don't have his contacts now. If not, I would have suggested to maybe bring him live one day. But he got this scholarship before even finishing NYSC. The other truth that you need to know is your NYSC certificate is only relevant and is only useful in Nigeria. You can finish your bachelor's and apply direct to go and do PhD somewhere or to go and do master somewhere. They're not going to ask you for NYSC discharge certificate. In fact, there is somebody in my school that has not done NYSC and he's doing PhD already. He has finished his master's. He's now doing his PhD. I think the master's was self-funded, but the PhD is on some form of scholarship. So you can, in fact, schools abroad would even consider you in your final year. That's, you have your first semester results, awaiting results. They can start considering you for admission and sometimes considering you for a scholarship. Please do not play with any of the information that you have heard today. The greatest disadvantage you will do to yourself is to hear all this information and do nothing about it. To hear all these things and do not implement it. If you know you are not going to implement this information, please leave this live session. That was just me playing. But there is no point learning all these things and not applying them. There is absolutely no point. Except if you want to learn them and teach somebody else, then that becomes useful. But when you learn all the things you learn, please show up through your actions. And once we are done with this final event, I will now look at the outcome of the contest that the competition that we had the other time. You see, it's you showing up and showing up at the right time. It's part of what we are discussing today. There are lots of people who follow this page. We have like over 25,000 persons who follow the page, but the responses to the request or the essays were, I think, less than 30, if I'm not making any mistakes now. The judge will go through the rest of them, but at least there are two results that are in now. The two results that are known and two results that we can announce as of today. The first part is, let's remember that the competition was in two parts. The top two positions were completely going to be on merit in terms of getting the answers correct, and then looking at how relevant your essays are and how well it addressed the problems, and then all that. The last two of the awards were to go to people based on how popular their posts were, based on how many reactions and all that their posts got. Now, when I asked us to submit the screenshots, there was a particular problem, and I don't know why that's happened, but almost all the people who submitted their screenshots did not include the number of reactions that their post had. So the few people who included the number of reactions that their post had, there was one that had, I think, 100 and something reactions. I can't remember the exact number now. And Facebook has just logged me out on my system, so I can't quote it. But I will mention the name of the person. And if you participated and you feel like you had a good number of reactions, the second slot on the reaction side is still open. Then the second slot on the merit side is still open. It's the essays were, the essays are still being considered. So the first slot on the merit side and the first slot on the what's it called now, on the engagement side are known, and those are the ones that I will announce today. So if I announce it, I want to first appreciate all the people who participated before I start making the announcements. And like I said, this money that I'm going to give out is not necessarily from me per se. This is part of the money that SPE, the Society of Petroleum Engineers Aberdeen section, gave me when I won a student bursary award from them earlier this year. When that award happened, I wanted to give out some money to followers from Namibia in particular, but because the case study we had then was an oil field, Venus, that is based in Namibia or discovered offshore Namibia. But somehow, when I put up the call to our people in Namibia, people did not respond. There was just, I think, 2 people who responded from Namibia, and because of that, I could not make the 2 people could not be competing for that much money. And then I said, let's open it to everybody. Unfortunately, I'm not sure anybody from Namibia even finally contested for the thing. I have not seen any name from Namibia. And I don't know all the other people who competed, but it looks like most of the contestants came from Nigeria. Regardless, I want to say thank you to all the people who participated, and I also want to appreciate SPE Aberdeen chapter for the student bursary that they give out and all that. I will apply for it again. I'm in the process of applying for it, and if it turns out positive again this time, of course we'll get a share of it, because one of the essays I'm going to be using this platform, or the webinars I do for PTDF scholarship, is coming into one of the essays that I am writing. So if it comes out positive, we'll come back here with some positive news. Now, and if you are not the winner, it doesn't mean that your essay was not good. It doesn't mean that your responses were incorrect. But based on the criteria for assessment, the other person was just selected ahead. But you will agree with me that the exercise was good. It was a task, and I don't know how you came up with your essay, but I believe that it like a lot of brainstorming went into it. How do I write this? How do I convince people about this? And that is part of the training that we are getting here. So without wasting much of our time, and after a long live session talking about scholarships, I want to also now formally announce that we are going to empower 2 people, and hopefully they're able to, the money goes to some extent helping them. Now, let's start from the popularity award, the one that got most of the likes. And somehow, I think the person knows himself, because somewhere in the post, he came and was reminding me that, oh, you mentioned that there's going to be a reward for those who had like the highest engagements. And that's somebody who I understand is a medical student. And let me just put us through a little puzzle. You are here. Are you still there? The medical student that his name starts with Kingsley. If you are here, identify yourself in the comment section so that people can go and verify on your profile that you had that post there and that the post had good engagement. Please identify yourself in the comment section. Kingsley Chooks. You are the medical student from, I think, Abia State University, if I'm not mistaken. Identify yourself in the comment section, and then let the people see and confirm that you truly made that post. I hope you have not deleted it, because if you have done, then we'll move on to the next person. So he is the person so far. that we have seen the highest engagement on his post. So if you did the post and you know you had a lot of engagements and it did not show up in your screenshot, please redo that screenshot and repost it in the comment section. And for winning the highest engagement and the most popular, Chooks goes home with 10,000 naira. That was our promise, and that's what we are going to keep. So get in touch with me on WhatsApp, drop a message on WhatsApp, and the funds will be delivered this night. Then on the is that Chooks commenting? All right, Kingsley Chooks, that's him there. So you can trace him, go to his profile, and you can see how many reactions that his post had as at the time when it was submitted. Now on the merit side, there is somebody whose name is, I can't pronounce it very correctly, Kefesang, right? I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation of the name. I understand he's a student of one of the schools in Bayelsa, and for being on the merit list, the merit award is 2. So the money we are going to distribute is 100,000 naira. And remember that this is from SPE Aberdeen. So if you are one of those who happen to win it, if you write a thank you message, please remember to tag SPE Aberdeen section. They are the people, they are the reason why you got the money. And Venus Oilfield offshore Namibia is the reason why you are getting what you are getting today. So they sponsored it somehow. They didn't tell me to do this, but out of my own understanding of life, this is just the way I wanted to do it. So Kefesang, if you are still on the call, identify yourself in the comment section. The merit category is 2. That is, and the merit category is really huge because my idea of doing it was, if we do the merit, then the money should be able to do something for the person, either support the payment of his school fees or support an international passport, support the person to get a transcript, or support the payment for an international school application. So the merit list is going to be 2. The popularity list is going to be 2. That's 10,000 for the popularity list, and then 40,000 each for the 2 people on the merit list. That comes up to 100,000, and I've done this at an equivalent rate of £50. So, Kefesang, please identify yourself in the comment section. Let the people go see your essays, and then every other thing. The other thing that was unique about Kefesang, apart from his write-up and the accuracy of his responses, I would say this, and this is also a lesson to most of us, because sometimes you need to act fast on things. Apart from having good write-ups and good responses, accurate responses, Kefesang was the first person who submitted his responses on YouTube. That's the responses to the questions that were asked on that video. So somehow, that's an advantage in terms of the competition. He submitted it very much early very much earlier than every other person in the process. And so we leave the second merit award to the judge to compile and complete. And then the second popularity award doesn't really need judgment that much. It just needs you to do a screenshot of how many people reacted to your post, how many comments you had on your post, and then submit it in the comment section of one of your posts. And congratulations, Kefesang, congratulations, Kingsley. Identify yourselves and let the people go see what you did. The other thing I want to mention is I am going to take down the post where you put your first screenshots, because somehow Facebook was flagging it. They didn't want it, and they were complaining about it. So I'm going to take it down just so it doesn't affect the page. But if you have your screenshots and you had sufficient engagements on your posts, please do that screenshot. Come and post it in the comment section of the post that I will make after this video. So that was it today. Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. We are delivering on what we promised, and we'll keep delivering on what we make as promises. Invite your friends to this page if you have not done so. You are not doing them well, by the way. Like I said, we win scholarships together, we grow together, We don't pull down. We don't criticize. We don't go against ourselves. We win the race together as a people. So let's do that. And congratulations in advance to the next winners. Those might not come as a live event. I might just have a way of announcing it, but the announcements are going to come once I get the final recommendations from the person who is making the judgments. It can be tough sometimes when you have all the essays together. There was this particular essay that I really loved. If I was going to give out the the award by myself, I would be tempted to give it because it's somebody who wrote, I don't know, let me not preempt anything, but I'll talk about it much later. But this was somebody coming from a background that's like traditionally you would think that this is not related to oil and gas, but the person found a way of linking that background to the energy industry. I love that amount of brain work. Being able to do that was really amazing. But let the judge decide, and we'll have the response as soon as the next winners as soon as possible. Well, from time to time, we'll be doing something like this on this platform. So don't be the follower who sees an opportunity and runs away from it. The other category of award we have today is for the follower of the month. That is a 5,000 Naira award. That's something we started doing, I think, in July. And we've stayed consistent doing that until this month. We'll do it again in December, and then we will review it. I'm not sure we're going to continue with it next year. We might introduce something different, but the point is you are learning, you are engaging with your friends, you're talking to your friends about it. I mentioned we wanted to have campus ambassadors sometime. That work is still, that's the details are still in the works, and then if we're able to finalize it before next year, that might be our major announcement at the beginning of the year. But we need to get the message across to as many people as possible. And the key message is not just scholarship. It is about the mind and how you approach things. If you do things the way I do things, you will win more scholarships than you can take up. Because if I am going for a particular thing, I know how I take my time to look into the future of it, plan for it, and then get the right document. Sometimes you need to go out of your way to get yourself ready for a particular thing. It's the reason I did a postgraduate diploma in education at some point during my master's degree. You need to be able to plan ahead, see the requirements. They are not going to change. They are not changing. They're not going to change, So start preparing ahead of time, and I wish you the very best. This is Academy of Scholarships and Transitions. If you follow us, you will not regret it. If you invite your friends to follow this page, they will not regret it. They will be grateful, because when they win the scholarship, they will remember that you are the one that brought them in contact with the page that helped them win. Any questions, please let me know in the comment section, and I will spend the next 10 minutes to answer questions. Please, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section now. You can start saying congratulations to those that won, and then hopefully, I don't know who wins the next ones, but the judge will let us know, and I will let you know as well. So the winners, get in touch on WhatsApp this night, and we will finish up the process there. You can say congratulations to them, you can clap for them, you can raise your hand, you can share the video, you can do anything now. But if there are any questions, please drop them in this comment section. Anyone? 10 minutes or 9 minutes now. I'm done. But if you have questions, drop them in the comments section. Alternatively, you can also come live and ask your question. If you have a question, there's a place where you can ask to join the event live. I can accept it, and then you come live and ask your question. It's a good advantage of Facebook Live that I'm not sure YouTube has. So if you have a question and typing it is difficult, just request to come live. I will accept the live invite, and then you can come speak live and ask your questions. Anyone? Okay, some scholarships like the Australian scholarship require the applicants to write a research proposal. How can a recent graduate go about this? Okay, research proposals are not really difficult to write. You just need to know what is required, the segments that are required in the graduate in the research proposal, and once you know those sections, you fill those sections, and once you fill the sections, you have all the answers and all the things that you require. So you will need to do like a literature review during your graduate your research proposal. You need to write your objectives for the research. You need to write something around like a proposed methodology, an expected outcome, and then of course you're going to have references. But you need to start from doing a literature review to identify a gap in knowledge that you're going to fill, because that's the essence of a research proposal. You have done your literature review, you know that there is this gap in knowledge that you're going to fill, and you know that there is this proposed methodology that you're going to use to fill it. You know your aim for the research, that's to fill that gap in knowledge, obviously. And then you know the objectives. Objectives are like subsections of your aim. So the big objective can be to develop a car. Sorry, the aim can be to build a car, but the objectives can be to optimize the engine, to optimize the tires, or to make the tires to make the tires out of something that is not rubber, is not plastic. Those kind of sub objectives. But the core component is you need a title, of course. You need a research, what's it called, a review like of existing knowledge. That's literature review. You need an aim, you need objectives, you need a proposed methodology, and then possible outcomes. Then you need a reference section. There are some other things that can come in between, but this is generally what it is. Your research proposal is not really about what you already know. Your research proposal is about what you want to achieve, like what you want to study and what has been studied within that field. So if you are going to do what's it called, predictive maintenance, for instance, in mechanical engineering, there are people who have studied predictive maintenance before. In your research proposal, you capture the findings of those people, critique what they have done, and then see the gap in, analyze what they have done, compare it, and then you can see what they have not done. That becomes what you are proposing to fill. That's what you are proposing to study, what you are proposing to investigate. That's basically what you do in a research proposal. Then how do you intend to do this? You do this, you do that, and you do the other one. My WhatsApp number, Kingsley, if you go to the profile of this page, you'll see my WhatsApp number there. It starts with +4477 something something. Or if you're on the WhatsApp group, you'll also find it there as well. Any other question? We have 5 minutes more. Any other question? I love the way people are congratulating the winners. It shows that the team spirit is building up. Like nobody is angry, nobody is offended, everybody is happy. That's it. When you're happy for those who are winning, you also come close to winning yourself. Congratulations once again to everybody and to the next set of winners. Does one need to identify a problem before doing research proposal, or one can just generate the problem in their mind? Okay, your research proposal is supposed to suggest how you will solve an identified problem. So the research proposal is going to propose something, the way you are going to solve a particular problem. So you can have the problem in your mind, but the other way you can have a problem in your mind, but that does not convince people in the academia. So you might identify the problem in your mind, but it's not going to convince the academic people. The way you convince them is to back up that identified problem with evidence, to say that I have read through these journal papers, I read these theses, And all these people have solved these problems, but they have not solved this one. That one they have not solved is what you are proposing to solve. And that problem you are proposing to solve is what you are writing your proposal around. You can have it at the back of your mind. You can generate it through reading other papers, but either ways, the academia would want evidence to show that, yes, you have done some studies before. I don't know if that answers your question, Izuchuku. It says, I don't know how to put it, but I feel stuck somehow. Stuck at what point? Let's see if we can bring you out in 2 minutes. All right. So I don't know if we got the message, because somebody was just mentioning to me that it's like the amount that the awardees are getting is not known. So the merit award is two categories. First person 40,000, second person 40,000 naira. That's 40,000 naira, 40,000 naira. Then the post popularity award is 10,000 naira each. Is also two. So 40 plus 40 plus 10 plus 10, that's 100,000 naira. It's at £50 at the exchange rate of 2,000 naira. That's what we are trying to do. So 100,000 naira goes to 4 people. We could have done it like 2,000 to 50 people. But if we do 2,000 to 50 people, it will become urgent 2K. That is not going to help anybody. I believe you know what I mean. It will become urgent 2K that doesn't help anybody in the long run. So it is something that somebody should use and do something. Ideally, I would recommend that at least you get an international passport. If you are a winner and you're like in your final year, I would recommend you maybe add up some money to it and get yourself an international passport. That's something you will have with you all the time. If you are a graduate, you can add up some money to it and get a transcript. That's something you hold on to all the time. If you are a student and you are struggling to pay your fees and you get this, you can use it and support the payment of your school fees, things around that. But that's what that's why it's as big as it is. We could have done 5,000 to 20 people and all those kind of things. But in the end, the money will just go to buying bread and buying Coke, and it doesn't really help anybody. And if you win this from outside of Nigeria, the money will be sent to you in the either in the if it's possible to send to your local currency directly, I'll do that. If it's not possible, then you will either get it in pound sterling or maybe in dollar equivalent, or you get it in the form of a gift card, one of the ways. But it doesn't matter. If you are from Ghana, you can get it. If you are from Liberia or any place, you can get it. We'll have a way of sorting the transaction out. And then that's just what it is. Somebody is asking, it seems literature review is similar to research proposal. Well, not exactly the same, but literature review is a big component of research proposal. The differences are that the similarity is this. In a literature review, you are also identifying gaps in knowledge. You are doing your criticism and all that, identifying gaps in knowledge. But in a literature review, you are not necessarily proposing how you are going to fill those gaps. You are not necessarily stating any objectives. You are not saying, any how do I call it? Any idealistic experimental design that this is what I'm going to do to be able to solve this problem. But a research proposal goes beyond the point of literature review to suggest how you are going to solve those problems. So you identify the problems through your literature review. That's why it's a key component of every research proposal. There's no research proposal that doesn't have a segment that is called literature review. That's like the standard format for writing research proposals. It's always going to be there. Even the one I wrote for PTDF has it, and all the other research proposals I've seen will always have it. But it's not every time that you write a research proposal. Actually, there are times when the professor already has his proposal sorted and you are just going to convince the professor that you are the best candidate for it. Somebody says, can one use local problem as proposal in an international setting like Australian PhD scholarship? Now, let me be honest with you. The way I think about school is, and this is to avoid that case where people come and say school is scam, this and that, because they are seeing somebody who finished school and doesn't make money. The way I see school is, I especially research, think about something that is big enough to make enough money to sustain you and to help people. Think about something that is big enough. Recently, I was talking to a friend he's doing research into renewable energy policies, for sub-Saharan Africa. That was how he started. At some point, he realized that narrowing down to sub-Saharan Africa limits him to just sub-Saharan Africa. His research now becomes only relevant to sub-Saharan Africa. So what did he do? He decided to expand that research beyond Africa. And that's what we should all do. Think of a problem that, even if it is local, like you have identified a problem in your locality, look for other parts of the world where that problem is relevant and think about a solution that solves it not just for your community but across in the other places. Because once you see that bigger picture, it becomes easier to convince the people who will fund you to fund you, because they know that, if they solve a problem in your community, the problem is just going to affect, the solution will affect maybe 100,000 people or 20,000 people. But if they solve a problem that has global impact, they will be affecting, let's say, millions or billions of lives. It's easier to convince people that way than to, talk about a local something. There is also something that happened during the webinar, those academic writing series. One of the trainers who came told us a story about how he was writing a paper, a journal paper, and after writing it, he sent it out to a publisher in the US. And the US publisher was saying that the paper was local. Like, it was local because it was looking at reasons for, I think it was analyzing student performance in geography in WAEC, using the examiner's notes and trying to analyze it over the years to identify what exactly is the possible reason why people are performing poorly or performing well and all that. But when he sent that paper, the reviewers were like, this is a local problem. And because it was a local problem, they were like not very willing to publish it in an international journal. So what did he do? He went back to think of, how can I make this a bigger problem? So he started looking at Kenya. I think he looked at Germany, student performance in geography in those places, and then gave the paper a global presence and a global audience. That paper was published, and the much I remember in his story, correct me if I am wrong and you attended the event, that paper was part of what got him the PhD scholarship that he went to do in Germany. So think of a global problem, or maybe even if not a global problem, think at least of a continental problem, something that is going to, the solution will impact or have positive effect on many people. That even if it is health, if it is anything, whatever it is, make it bigger than local. Thank you, sir. Do you have a generic format on how to go about this research proposal? I don't have a particular template, but I think there was a video where I discussed this some time ago on this Facebook page. Yes, there was a time when I did a series. The first on the series was bachelor's degree scholarships. The second was master's degree scholarship. The third one was PhD and I think postdoctorate awards. If you can go to our video catalog, just scroll through, you will find a particular video that was for PhD scholarships. It's just PhD scholarships alone. If you watch that video, you should have all the possible answers you need for a research proposal. The only research proposal I've done before is the one I used for PhD. It's just mostly for my PhD, for the scholarship and then for the PhD itself. And those are going to be purely oil and gas. Except if you're an oil and gas person, it might not really be helpful to you. Yeah, but that's how it is. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will be disappointed if at the end of this event I don't see up to 9 shares of the video, because at least there are 9 of us here now who have followed the event till the end. We can take one more question. That's me shooting beyond my time already. One more question and we close the door for today. But please, if you have not shared the video, just hit the share button now. If you have not invited a friend to follow, please invite your friend, and then let's spread this message to as many people as possible. If you belong to a group as well, you can share this to the group you belong to, and we will be reaching everybody. So Kingsley is asking, where are these researches published, sir? Social media, newspaper, pardon my ignorance. No, it is not. Yeah, so there are a number of ways to publish your research findings, but the most recognized publications are in academic journals. So when you hear things, academic peer-reviewed journals, I must add that peer review there. So you hear things like Journal of, maybe Journal of American Journal of Medicine, or Journal of Petroleum Engineering and Technology, Journal of this and that. So the process is, you will write your work, you will submit it, and the people will go through it, maybe like 2 or 3 peer reviewers, people you don't know, but who are experts in your field. They will go through that work that you have written, and they will either make recommendations, not even either, they will make recommendations based on the quality of the work, to say this work is good enough, publish it, or this work is not good enough, do not publish it, or this work is good enough, but it needs further refining. So they get it back to you and say, okay, look at this comment, number 1, improve on this, number 2, improve this, number 3, add this, and all that. Then you add those things. They will now take that work and publish it in an indexed journal. So the indexed journal, what it means is that if I search for that paper from here, I will be able to find it on places like Google Scholar, which is what most other researchers use. And then I can reference your work. I can cite your work. So if you are writing something like, if you are reading through a paper or a textbook, all those names that you see, Okeke et al. 2022, or, let's say Ayodele and Johnson 2024, or what's that popular name in WAEC? There's one funny name like that. Is it Siroma Dekunle Chukuma, something like that, or Siroma Dekunle Chukuma 2024? All those kind of things in bracket, those are citations. People can cite those work because they are published by journals that are indexed. So the person can look for it, see it, and then cite it. In many cases, in the olden days, they go to libraries and all that. But these days, they are indexed, they are all online. And that's where to